Well, hello there, I'm Emrys from cruisehive.com. How is everybody doing? Well, are you ready for another jam-packed cruise news update? I hope you are, as we've got all kinds of things going on. So, we've got a mixture of cruise news from the past week, and depending on the cruise line, it could be good or bad. In this week's roundup, we've got further cruises cancelled for the second Prima-class cruise ship, meaning the ship's debut will be delayed again. More cruise lines are easing their requirements, but Disney not as much as others. There are also some impressive numbers coming from a major US homeport. Bookings skyrocket for Carnival Cruise Line, and Royal Caribbean takes us behind the scenes in building the new Icon of the Seas cruise ship. Well, we've got plenty to update you on, so your cruise news update begins now. Norwegian Cruise Line has begun notifying booked guests that its upcoming ship Norwegian Viva will not be able to make her initial sailings as planned in July and August of 2023 due to global supply chain constraints impacting industries worldwide, including the maritime industry. Because of this, cruises from July 3rd through August 17th are now cancelled. While Norwegian Viva was floated out at the Fincantieri shipyard in Italy as planned on August 2nd, 2022, this only indicates her exterior construction is complete. The internal construction and outfitting of the ship will take months to complete, and with further supply chain delays, the ship will not be able to join the Norwegian Cruise Line fleet on time. This is the second delay for the second Prima-class ship. Norwegian Viva was previously scheduled to debut in mid-June 2023, but her initial sailings were cancelled earlier this summer. Global supply chain constraints were also cited as part of the reason for that initial delay, which cancelled 2 sailings for the vessel. Now 6 additional sailings have been cancelled, which brings the total of cancelled cruises to 8. With the cancellation of these additional sailings, Norwegian Viva's new inaugural voyage is now planned to set sail on August 26, 2023. The new ship will spend several weeks sailing a variety of Mediterranean itineraries before repositioning to San Juan, Puerto Rico in December 2023 for the winter season in the Caribbean. Norwegian Viva will then return to the Mediterranean in spring 2024. Carnival Cruise Line announced on Friday, August 12th, that its pre-cruise testing requirements would be simplified, dropping the mandate entirely for vaccinated passengers on cruises of 15 nights or less, depending on the destination. The updated protocols will go into effect on September 6, 2022. Well, on Monday, August 15th, the first full business booking day after the announcement, the cruise line saw tremendous positive response to the change. Monday's bookings were nearly double the level for the equivalent day in 2019, well before the pandemic began. Very impressive indeed. Midsummer booking activity is historically a slow period, as families have already planned their annual vacations during school-out periods and are not yet planning for future travel. However, Carnival did say that guests are responding very favorably to the updated protocols, despite mid-August typically being slow for bookings. Guests have many amazing options to come for Carnival cruises still in 2022, with Carnival Luminosia scheduled to join the fleet in November, followed quickly by the debut of the cruise line's second XL class ship, Carnival Celebration, which will set sail on her maiden voyage from Miami on November 21st. Following similar moves last week by sister cruise line Cunard Line, P&O Cruises, Carnival Cruise Line and even Princess Cruises, Holland America Line has announced a relaxation of its pre-cruise protocols. The cruise line is dropping pre-cruise testing for vaccinated passengers on a majority of sailings and allowing unvaccinated to sail as long as they meet any testing requirements. So, as of September 6, 2022, vaccinated guests will no longer need to present a negative pre-cruise test in order to set sail. The new guidelines, while not quite universal, do make cruising much less complicated for most guests. While this is welcome news indeed for test-weary travelers and those eagerly awaiting a greater return to normalcy in cruising, there are still itineraries that require pre-cruise testing, of course. At the moment, all cruises that visit Australia, Canada, and Greece must still have passengers test before setting sail. In an abundance of caution, Holland America Line is also still requiring pre-cruise tests for all passengers on sailings of 16 nights or longer. In another update to the protocols, guests who are unable to be vaccinated may once again cruise with Holland America Line on sailings shorter than 16 nights. Prior to this update, all guests aged 12 and older were required to be fully vaccinated at least 14 days before sailing. Unvaccinated guests, however, still need to present a negative antigen or PCR test result before embarkation. Tests may be taken up to 70 hours before departure. July 2022 will go down into the books as one of the busiest months in the history for Port Canaveral. With ships operating at more than 100% occupancy rates, the numbers are far above what the port projected to see for the fiscal year. Last year, the Port Authority expected to operate at around 50% occupancy for the first 3 months of 2022, concluding at approximately 75% for the rest of the year. With the fiscal year ending on September 30th, Port Canaveral expects 25% more cruise passengers to pass through than last year's budget. So far, in the last 10 months, Port Canaveral has handled 674 calls from cruise ships with more than 3.2 million multi-day passengers. In the previous 6 weeks, more than 100,000 guests sailed from the port each week, with more than 120,000 during the last week of July. Wow, impressive numbers indeed. With 112 more homeport calls during 2023 than during 2022, and 99 calls from ships visiting the port on one-day visits, Port Canaveral will be busier than ever next year, totaling 909 multi-day calls. Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean will be using Port Canaveral extensively next year, both scheduling 3 ships permanently and 1 seasonally. For Royal Caribbean, this includes the world's largest cruise ship, of course, the ship everyone's been waiting for, which is Wonder of the Seas. Following similar announcements in recent days by other cruise lines, Disney Cruise Line has updated its pre-cruise testing and vaccination protocols beginning September 2nd, 2022. This includes new age-based vaccination guidelines as well as exceptions for embarkation day testing for vaccinated guests. While Disney Cruise Line's current protocols require that all guests aged 5 and older be fully vaccinated before sailing, the age requirement will be changed for cruises departing September 2nd and later. At that time, only guests aged 12 and older must be fully vaccinated in order to sail. The cruise line does state, however, that it highly recommends that guests age 11 and younger be fully vaccinated before sailing. If fully vaccinated, guests may take a pre-cruise test 1 to 2 days prior to sailing on a Disney ship from a US or Canadian homeport. Guests who are not vaccinated or who are unable to present appropriate vaccination records prior to embarkation day must take NAT or PCR test 1 to 3 days prior to embarkation. Following a teaser trailer released earlier this month, Royal Caribbean has now released the first full episode of the Making an Icon video series. Did you see the first episode? Do let us know in the comments below if you did, and let us know what you thought of it. At just under 8 minutes long, the short video is still packed with behind the scenes views and tantalizing insights about the upcoming vessel, which, to be honest, we don't really know a huge much about. The first episode, titled Envisioning an Iconic Vacation, explores the very early days of the new ship's conception, the brainstorm and ideation that is now being brought to life at the Mailworth shipyard in Turku, Finland. Brief quotes and descriptive phrases from naval architects and interior designers to industrial engineers, food and beverage directors, artists, executives and more add to the well-deserved hype surrounding the new ship. It really is interesting. Video clips show different steps in the ship's initial construction, including the steel cutting ceremony on June 16th, 2021, as well as previous design brainstorming sessions and team meetings as the ship was being developed, and glimpses throughout the construction process, such as bringing the mysterious sphere aboard the ship, and we still don't know what that sphere is. This first episode ends with a teaser that the next episode will feature insider looks at design and construction, with tight timelines to stay on track for the planned fall 2023 debut of Icon of the Seas. Well, those were just a handful of the cruise news headlines from the past week. We've got all the full coverage over on cruisehype.com, including Princess Cruises introducing a new stateroom bidding program, Carnival Cruise Line releasing details on its 23-day voyage, lost luggage becoming a growing problem for cruise ship passengers, new pier and terminal coming to the San Juan cruise port, new activities rolled out across MSC cruise ships which are based in the US, huge funding for Virgin Voyages, a rescue made by a Norwegian cruise ship in the Caribbean, and plenty more stories all over on the website. Well, thanks very much for your time to watch the video. If you did find it informative at all, then go ahead and like it. Press that like button, along with subscribing to the Cruise Hype YouTube channel. I'm Emrys from cruisehype.com. Thanks again everyone for your time, and I'll see you all soon.